Hello, viewers. Welcome to Literary Concepts. Today's topic is comedy. Now, let us try to learn about comedy. The definition of comedy: comedy is a genre that focuses on creating humorous and amusement through various elements such as witty dialogue, satire, mistaken identities, and humorous situations. So, comedy is a genre, one method of writing, so that focuses on creating humor. So, creating a funny, comic, and amusement, so which makes enjoyable through various elements, so various components such as say witty dialogue, that is cleverly using of words, okay, satire, mistaken identities, so that is mistaken qualities, and humorous situations, so funny situations. It ends on a happy note. It typically ends on a happy note. Finally, the comedy ends with a happy way. So often marriages, marriages, reunions, and the resolutions of a conflict. So uh, often we find involving marriage incidents, events, reunions, so that is reuniting, getting together, and resolution, so the solution of a conflict, so some problem, some struggles, understand some disagreements. So these things we find in comedy. In literature, it often, so generally, it serves to entertain. So comedy, uh, the main purpose of the comedy is to entertain, while also commenting on social, political, and human conditions. So it also comments on social aspects, political aspects, and human conditions. These things we find in comedy. Now try to understand the features of comedy. The first one is humorous plot and dialogue. So we find the first feature is humorous plot and dialogue. So funny plot. Comedy always depends on clever wordplay, puns, witty exchanges between characters to create humor. So the comedy always depends on clever word play, so use of words in a cleverly manner, and then puns, so that is the humorous way of using words and phrases, and witty, so already you know that is smart way of using exchanges, conversations between the different characters to create fun, understand, to create humor. So that is the first feature of a comedy. The second one is light-hearted tone. So a light-hearted means it is easygoing and not serious. Understand, in a happy nature. The overall tone, the method of telling the comedy is often cheerful, enjoyable. Understand? So showing happiness and entertaining us even when addressing serious themes, even though the serious themes or topics are discussed, but the tone of the comedy, okay, the tone of the drama, the tone of the comedy work, okay, writing is cheerful, merrymaking, and entertaining us. So that is the second feature of comedy. The third one is happy ending. So we find the endings are happy. Most comedies conclude with a positive resolution. So most comedies always conclude end with a positive resolution, having some positive solutions, such as a wedding. You find maybe a wedding, okay, a reconciliation, that is a reunion, okay, resolving or reunion of relationships, and the restoration, understand, so the renew, reviving of social order, that is restoration, restore, so restoration of social order. So these happy endings we find in comedy. Next feature is satire and social commentary. Comedies often critique, so always a careful judgment on societal norms, societal practices, human vices, so human faults, and the political structures, understand, the political organizations, the political structures, in a light-hearted manner. See, we find so comedy is often a critic, work as a critique, understand, criticizes the social norms, the social standards, the social customs and practices, and human vices, so human faults and mistakes, and the political structures, understand, the political aspects, in a light-hearted manner, in a light-hearted way, understand. That is a fourth feature of comedies. And the fifth one, the next feature is exaggeration and absurdity. We find exaggeration and absurdity. Characters and situations may be exaggerated. So, exaggeration, elaborating, so are describing something greater than normal. So that is, the characters and situations are exaggerated, so overstating to an absurd level, to highlight certain flaws or to enhance the comedic effect, understand, to an absurd level, understand, to an foolish, meaningless level, to highlight certain flaws, to highlight certain mistakes, certain weaknesses, or to enhance, to improve, enrich the comic effect. Understand? These are the five features generally we see in comedies. Next, types of comedy. The first type is romantic comedy. So romantic comedy revolves around love and relationship. So romantic comedy always focuses, okay, concentrates on love and relationships, with humor often arising from misunderstanding, mistaken identities, and obstacles. Understand? So this love and relationship, you find a kind of humor, the fun is generated from misunderstandings between the relationships, mistaken identities, understand, mistaken qualities or beliefs, and the obstacles which are hindrances. So these things we find that the lovers must overcome. So the persons who are there in relationship, so they have to overcome from all these aspects. For example, okay, William Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing and As You Like It. These two comedies are examples of romantic comedy. The second one is satirical comedy. So, satirical comedy uses humor, irony, and exaggeration. So, humor, irony, and exaggeration. Irony means using words. Irony is using words that mean the opposite of what you really think. So it is a kind of sarcastic way of telling. Okay. So, and exaggeration, exaggerating. So, praising something great in a great manner, but in reality, that will not be there. To criticize societal norms and politics and human behavior. So, satirical comedy focuses, understand, uses humor, irony, and exaggeration to criticize the social norms, the social customs and practices, politics, and human behavior. This type of comedy often has a deeper message about social reform. Understand? So, this type of comedy always focuses on bringing a change in society. For example, here Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travel, Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest. These are the examples of satirical comedy. The next one is fairs. So it is a form of fairs means a funny play. It is a form of comedy that relies on once again exaggerated situations and physical humor and improbable events. Okay, so which are not uh, probable events. It often involves slapstick elements. See, slapstick elements means, see, uh, comedy is generated by uh, involving physical actions. For example, if you just see the Charlie Chaplin's movies. If you just see the Charlie Chaplin's movies, you find that the slapstick elements where that the physical actions are involved. So that is slapstick elements and ridiculous characters, the silly characters. So an example of fails is the comedy of errors written by Shakespeare. The next one is comedy of manners. The comedy of manners. So it focuses on the behavior, customs, that is, customs, practices, traditions, norms, and social norms of a particular class, often satirizing the manners and the affectations of the upper classes. The comedy of manners focuses on the behavior, okay, the way people behave, the customs they follow, and the social norms of a particular class. They are the upper class people, social norms, okay, and satirizing in a satirical manner, okay, and the affectations of upper class people, the affectations, the artificiality, the pretensions of upper class people. On these aspects, the comedy of manners focus. Example of comedy of manners: William Congreve's The Way of the World, William Congreve's The Way of the World, Richard Brinsley Sheridan's The School for Scandal. These are the examples of comedy of manners. The next type of comedy is dark comedy. So, in the dark comedy, it blends humor with darker, more serious elements, often exploring themes such as death, violence, and existential dread in a humorous way. So, dark comedy is a mixture of humor, fun with the darker, that is gloomy, okay, that is sad. So, more often we find the serious aspects, the serious elements, exploring the themes, the topics such as death, violence, and existential. So, that is uh, empirical, experiential fear. Dread means fear in a humorous way, in a funny way. Understand? An example of dark comedy is Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. The next type of comedy is restoration comedy. So, restoration, a form of comedy that emerged during the restoration period. Restoration, re-establishing, act of bringing back. Okay, so this restoration comedy was developed, okay, during a restoration period, the late 17th century. Understand? And characterized, featured by its witty dialogue. Understand? It is a smart, clever, funny way of using dialogues and sexual innuendo. So that is sexual attributions, sexual immoral behaviors, and commentary on marriage and social issues. Restoration comedy focuses on commentary. Okay, it gives comment. It comments on marriage and social related, society related, the issues related to society. Example of restoration comedy: Afrabens, The Rover, George Etheridge's The Man of Mode. These two are best examples of restoration comedy. I hope these types of comedies you uh, might understand. So, some well known examples of Shakespearean comedies. Now, let us see. All these are comedies which were written by Shakespeare and they were very popular. One is All's Well That Ends Well. The second one is As You Like It. The third one is The Comedy of Errors. The fourth one, Love's Labour's Lost. Next, Measure for Measure. Then, The Merchant of Venice. The next, The Merry Wives of Windsor. A Midsummer Night's Dream. Much Ado About Nothing. The Taming of Shrew. The Tempest. Twelfth Night. The Two Gentlemen of Verona, The Winter's Tale. All these are popular examples of comedies which were written by Shakespeare, the greatest dramatist, okay, of English literature. So he wrote all these comedies which were very very popular. Next, some of the popular examples of modern comedy. Okay, these are the considered as examples for modern comedy. Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Even though the Pride and Prejudice is a novel, it is considered as example for modern comedy. Richard Brinsley Sheridan's The School for Scandal, Ben Jonson's Walpole, Newell Coward's Private Lives, and Blithe Spirit, etc. So these are some of the popular examples of modern comedy. So I hope you understood the concept of comedy, and thank you very much.